And we start with the latest look over Houston and the latest on the tropical storm Harvey. NBC reports that the death toll stands at 2, while others report the number as high as 5.
This as we get late word tonight that President Donald Trump will visit Texas in the midst of this disaster. Houston officials say that more than 20 inches of rain have already fallen over the area, forcing road closures and flight cancellations.
Harvey Airport, the city's second largest, was forced to close due to floodings on the runways. NBC's Jay Gray reports from Houston, Texas.
The water and tensions continue to climb in Houston. The remnants of Hurricane Harvey spilling over the nation's 4th largest city. The National Weather Service warning up to 50 inches of rain could fall on some areas.
You know, to get this much rain in 24 hours, you know. 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock last night, everything was cool. And then the heavens opened up and we're getting 5 inches of rain an hour.
The rain was heavy, constant, and fast, the flooding catching many off guard.
So when I opened the door, more water rushed in. And all of my stuff flew out and it just kept coming in. So I shut the door back and I was like, I gotta get out.
Search and rescue missions are underway, but first responders are struggling to keep up with all the calls for help.
The system, there are a lot of people who are calling, but let me ask let's give preference to the life-threatening calls, okay?
Everything from helicopters to boats to flatbed trucks have been deployed to deliver victims to higher ground.
And we prayed a lot, and we just praised God, and we were rescued, so we're very thankful.
Residents who need help have been told to avoid attics. Rescuers are worried people may be trapped inside.
It's pretty bad right there. We need some chainsaws and some axes so we can get people out of their houses. We got the fire, as you can tell, down here. The police are down here with their boats, but they're requesting that we get some axes and some chainsaws.
It is a desperate race now against the water, trying to get thousands of people to safety here. Jay Gray, NBC News.
Just an awful situation for people down there, but social media is playing a big role in helping people during the hurricane. 911 has been inundated with calls. You heard it there. So people are posting their locations online, and local news stations are sharing to get people help. I spoke with the digital manager at our NBC affiliate in Houston about how Twitter and other online platforms are saving lives. The last time Houston was hit by a major hurricane was Ike in 2008.
The very dawn of Facebook, the iPhone had been out for a year or so.
Twitter was less than 2 years old and was nowhere as near as popular as it is today.
So this is the first big storm for us where we've had Facebook, Twitter, Instagram.
KPRC digital manager Matt Alftenspring says social media has been a huge help.
Officials have asked our reporters to get the word out to people if there's anybody who has a boat and has experience driving a boat and could bring it here to help with the rescues, or they needed fuel for their own police boats. They didn't have a whole lot of fuel, and complete strangers were showing up and delivering fuel to these guys.
Most of the aid has been coordinated online. Twitter has been at the forefront. Alftenspring says a tweet helped save a group of senior citizens stuck in waist-deep water.
One of the grandsons of one of the residents there tweeted out a photo, and it immediately went viral.
KPRC says it retweeted the post, and law enforcement was tagged. Soon, others retweeted it.
And sure enough, they made it a priority and went and rescued these 15 senior citizens from this nursing home.
Alftenspring says similar stories have been playing out all over the Texas Gulf Coast. People are posting their address and cries for help. And when law enforcement can't make it, fellow citizens are showing up.
I'm sure just like in Grand Rapids here in Houston, when we have an event like this, it's devastating, but at the same time, you really get to see the city's true colors come out, and that sense of community arises and people want to help.
Oh, amazing how much of the story we're able to see because of that social media. Our team is in place for coverage of Harvey here at home. We look at the potential impact on gas prices and how our local Red Cross team is getting involved and looking for your help to do so.
Yeah, we want to start with meteorologist Kyle Underwood, who is learning this storm is far from over. Hi, Kyle.
Heather, unfortunately, rain just ramping up here across parts of Texas. We've already had an enormous amount of rainfall, several feet in some areas, and this storm is parked here, unfortunately, and it has a continuous river of humid, Gulf moisture getting wrapped in. These areas in orange and red, deep convection, incredibly heavy rain, and it's going to continue not only for the rest of tonight, but Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and a good part of the week. We will see continued heavy rain here across parts of southern Texas and eastern Louisiana. Now, there are a number of roads in and out of Houston and freeways that are just completely shut down, but if you were able to drive a couple hundred miles in any direction, you're under a flash flood warning in and around Houston. This is radar estimated rainfall, a 48-hour loop. These colors that you're seeing on this map, these are colors that we've never even shown here in West Michigan because we just have nothing to compare it to. We never get rain even a fraction this deep all around the Houston metro, all the way up to Houston. This area of gray and pink represents as much as 2 feet of rain that has already fallen, and there's more on the way. Take a look at this for eastern Texas, western Louisiana, this area in yellow, another 1 to 2 feet on the way. We could see closing in on a foot of rain additionally in Houston, where we're already inundated. So I did some math on this. We are able to calculate how much rain has fallen, a good estimate anyway, based on radar estimates, and we know the volume of Reeds Lake and East Grand Rapids. Enough rain has fallen on South Texas to fill Reeds Lake 3,000 times. That's an insane amount of water. Bill's going to have our forecast for West Michigan coming up in a few minutes.
Wow, that really puts things into perspective. Let's turn now to 24-hour News 8's Sarah Hurwitz. She's live at the American Red Cross in Grand Rapids, where we're learning they're already diverting more resources to the relief efforts. Hi, Sarah.
Well, Heather, I just learned this afternoon from Executive Director Mike Mitchell that he will be deploying on Wednesday to help with those efforts in Houston. Now, this comes as 7 volunteers were deployed this morning, but we are learning that some of them didn't make it to Houston because, like you guys mentioned earlier in the newscast, those airports are now closed. Now, we do want to show you some of the footage that we took earlier this morning of those crews that were leaving. Mitchell told me that the biggest priority right now is the first responders in getting to those who are trapped. Floodwaters, like we've been telling you throughout the newscast, are forcing some to get to higher ground, even on tops of roofs. And the Red Cross's priority when they get there will be to help people with shelter and food, the basic necessities. And he urged anybody who wants to volunteer to come and get trained. You might find yourself in Houston.
Based on the size that this particular disaster is becoming apparent to us, I would say that there is a chance that if a person were to volunteer with us now, that they would be able to get the training necessary to possibly go in the second or third wave of deployment, because we're going to be sending people down here for probably months to come.
And as there are volunteers from West Michigan that are helping with the Houston efforts, there are also people right here living in Grand Rapids who are related to people who are trapped in those flood waters. Coming up tonight in an interview you don't want to miss, we did a phone interview with a brother of a man who lives here in Grand Rapids who is talking about what he's seen. He's surrounded by water, and that will be at 11 o'clock. For now, reporting live in Grand Rapids, Sarah Hurwitz, 24-hour News 8.
All right, certainly a need there for help right now.
No doubt about it. Let's talk about the impact on oil and gas now. Some large oil companies in Texas have been forced to shut down because of the storm. Alicia Alonso is in the newsroom with the latest on this. Alicia.
Good evening, Leon and Heather. A consulting firm in Houston expects gas prices to jump 10 cents per gallon in states east of the Rocky Mountains. The Gulf makes about 17% of all U.S. crude oil production and nearly half of the country's refining capacity. Many oil companies in the path of Harvey couldn't act quickly enough when preparing for the storm. The Bureau of Safety and Environmental Enforcement says that evacuations and other storm preparations had shut off about 10% of the Gulf's total crude oil production and 15% of its natural gas production. As refineries along the coast are shut down and oil production being scaled back, the demand for it goes up, causing higher prices across the country. We're told that it could take as long as 3 weeks for the refineries in the Gulf to get back on their feet.